Hey guys, Colby Schrumpf here. Today you're going to take a look at my bass cave, my house, and where I grew up. We're located here in Highland, Illinois, about 30 miles east of St. Louis. Not too many big tournament lakes, just real close. I've got Kentucky Lake about 3 hours, Lake of the Ozarks 3 hours, Table Rock around 4. But so within that wheelhouse, there's a pretty good amount of lakes. But let's go ahead and take a look inside. So now that we're inside, we built this about 10 years ago. It's 40 foot wide, 60 foot long, 12 foot sidewalls, and I put a big 18 foot overhead garage door in here. And we designed it just for the fishing purposes for the most part. I mean, we've got different things for around the house in here. But with that, I can keep my Yukon and the Phoenix hooked up at all times. I got an aluminum Ranger on that side I can angle out. But we did insulated walls, 2x6 walls, liner panel in here, and I blew some insulation in the attic as well. So everything's heated and cooled. It's extremely comfortable in here with Illinois. You're gonna have 100-degree summer days and you're gonna have, 20-degree temperature in the winter a lot of times. So it's a good place to escape out here and work on fishing stuff throughout the winter or, as the season starts in January. So, on this side here, as soon as you come in, I got a lot of the different MLF awards I've won over the years. So I've got this bait saved and it's kind of a little unique to me. I can't even say for certain if I've caught a bass on it or not, but it was probably 5 or 6 years ago. When we had Tuesday night tournaments on this local lake down here. So me and my buddy were out there competing in that, and it was early in the evening, and I'm firing this along some riprap, and all of a sudden, it's real windy out there, and I kind of feel like I've got to bite a little bit, so I kind of pull into it, and at the same time, this branch emerges out of the water, and this is probably, 30, 40 feet from me. Well, this was so tight, once that branch erupted out of the water, it literally came flying back at my face. And my first natural reaction was just to hold my hand up and protect my face from this thing. So I did do that, protected my face, but this particular bait buried in my palm right here. And I don't do well with hooks at all. I've been stuck with treble hooks a bunch of times over the years and generally just use the side ducks and cut them off and leave them in me for the day and then get them cut out. But this guy was so deep, I didn't do anything with it. So my buddy called my wife, she met us at the boat ramp. She took me up to the ER and they x-rayed it, and basically it was gonna be a real bear to get out. So the doctor took a bone cutter actually to cut the shank because it was so thick. And then, like I said, with the x-ray, they could, I guess, determine where the nerves were. And he made an incision there and got that portion out. But I still have the x-ray picture. It's pretty cool. I show some people occasionally. But I went ahead and kept this. He threw it in a medicine jar for me. So it's pretty unique, but I definitely don't want that to happen again. I started making these sponsor plaques, and I'd like to give these out generally every fall to a lot of my different sponsors. Generally just has me and the boat involved, and then the sponsors up there. So they like those. It's kind of unique. It's a little bit different for them. This is kind of interesting here. Ryan Salzman had made this up for Zach Burge and myself. We traveled together last year on the Bass Pro Tour. So the last event of the year, he had those made up and sent to us. But that's actually from Eufaula, Oklahoma, and that was on the BPT last year, and Zach actually won that event there. So we all went different ways this year, and we knew that was going to happen. So Ryan had given those to us, so I hung that up. It's just a really neat piece there. As we work our way down, this is kind of interesting. I did this, probably about a handful of years ago. So I just bought a laminated US map, and then I framed it and put some backing on it. And it just kind of gives me a good proximity of where everything's located. So we're right here near St. Louis in the orange, but all the other pins are events that I fished with MLF, as far as basically professional events. So it kind of just gives me a good proximity of, if I'm going to an event in South Carolina, kind of what's on the way there or what's on the way back, if I want to make some time to, spend some extra days there for practice or what may be. And it just kind of gives me a good overview of where everything's at. So yeah, I really enjoy that. I got an air compressor here. Every single event before I travel, if it's 3 hours or more, I'm very, I always take a look at my tire pressure on the truck and the boat. I always want to make sure that's in good shape. I never want to have any issues there. Preventive maintenance is a real big thing to me. My wife had made that up for me. 2023 was the best year I'd ever had. So it's just some different pictures from that event year. So I just hung that up out here. Got the refrigerator here. This area I keep rods, and I did something a little bit different here. I designed this horizontally where most guys will do them vertically. It's just a little easier for me to kind of see everything rather than, you know, the reels kind of, and the rod's the most important parts. You're looking down, where these are mostly eye level for the most part, but I've got some rods on the deck and some in the boat, but generally probably at least 2/3 of these are going with me. Next here, so this is a rolling scaffold, and I bought this thing when we built our house 10 years ago, but I kind of transformed it into the shed here for the fishing. So the Yukon I generally keep, it's pretty much used exclusively for just the fishing unless we're taking some vacation or something. So it's pretty much always out here just hooked up to the fishing boat. But so I can keep tackle right here on this, and what I'll do is I'll just roll stuff back and forth to the Yukon in the boat as I set stuff up, and that works out really well. Same thing for like boxes and that kind of stuff. I'll just throw a bunch on there, or, you know, and just move it around rather than just carrying it. Dad keeps some stuff here. He still fishes some BFLs with me as a co-angler, so he just throws his stuff in that corner. I've got, you know, different lines here in my spooler, some spare reels, swim baits. This is just an extra box of some hard baits. This particular shelf's just kind of a mess and a catch-all right now. I'll spend some time out here this winter, and I'll go through all my baits, you know, and rods and reels, and this will be reorganized at that point. But currently, it's just got a lot of offal type stuff. This is just a lot of just different miscellaneous baits and boxes. You know, if I know I'm going to a particular lake, I'll, you know, whether it be, you know, I do a lot of crankbaiting, so a lot of times I'll, you know, grab, you know, whatever I think I'll need, you know, from square bills all the way to, you know, deep diving crankbaits. But so I'll just grab a lot of those different type of stuff and pack them up in the boat. And this is kind of our fitness area over here. So my title sponsor, Apex Network Physical Therapy, I used to do a lot of work for them years ago, and now they're nationwide and got clinics everywhere. But so we would constantly update equipment in their physical therapy, and, you know, a lot of this stuff is outdated or wasn't working well enough for them for everyday use for patients day after day, but it works completely fine for me and my wife. So we got set up. I mean, we got multiple treadmills, some cable machines. That's a multifunctional machine there. There's a leg curl, a bike, elliptical down there, and an arc trainer. So we do as much cardio out here and weightlifting as we can. I mean, we like to exercise outside in the nicer conditions, but you know, when it's 95 like it is today, I mean, this is a great place to hide in here and have 75 degrees jogging. So we spend a good amount of time back here and have this available. So like I was saying earlier, with the 60-foot depth construction, this thing works out great. I mean, obviously we need about 50 foot for the rig to keep it hooked up at all times. Still gives us about 10 foot back here and some walking space, but this is my Phoenix 21 XE. This boat's been great. I've ran PHXs in the past, and this is more or less just a build off of that. It's got, you know, higher options, which I generally got with the PHX, and they come standard on this XE. But no, this is a great boat. I actually just listed it for sale. I'm getting ready to order another one this fall, and I'll spend the winter, you know, getting it set up. Traveling onto this side, I've got this particular boat I got around 10 years ago. It's an 18-foot or 17-foot aluminum Ranger. And in Illinois, we have a lot of power plant lakes, and they were actually restricted to 25 horsepower. So when I had this boat built, I actually put a 6-inch jack plate on there, and then I had a 25 Merc that I would run in the wintertime to fish these hot water lakes. My dad and I used to always fish these hot water lakes that had tournaments, and they generally start in about November and go until March, but they were 25 horsepower. So now that you guys see pretty much the interior of the whole cave, one of the neatest things about this property is we've developed a lake down here, and we're gonna go ahead and put this Phoenix on the water and take a look at it. So I guess about 12 years ago, once we decided that we wanted to get a house constructed out here, we did the whole surveying deal and got all that taken care of, and then had to deal with the county and the city. And once we accomplished all that, and I had a contractor hired as far as the excavation process, there's a pretty good draw through right here in this agricultural field, and we wanted to do a walkout house. So of course, if we're gonna build a house, we're gonna have a lake in our backyard or a pond as well. So we had this built right around this exact same time we had the foundation dug about 10 years ago on the house. So had a couple of tractors and pans out here, and they had the thing constructed in about, I want to say about 5 to 6 days. There was a dry period, it never had any rain at all. And like I said, it was a natural draw through here anyway. So they more or less just cut it deeper, constructed a dam, and here we are, we got a 3-acre lake. So over the years, we've added a little bit of riprap here and there to it. And the first year after construction, the main focus was just to get the bait population up higher. So we did golden shiners, and so I had those brought in, some fathead minnows, and just that first season, just let those, basically just let those reproduce in here, get a really good population for them. And the main objective when we built this, I just wanted to create a really good bluegill population and pond. So, because we got a really good crappie lake down there, so I didn't really want to mess with that. I catch bass all over the country, so I thought bluegill, that's something, you know, let's just grow some really big bluegill. So that was the main objective. So we did hybrid bluegill and red ear bluegill and introduced some channel catfish to kind of keep the bluegill in check. So that worked out well. But the first 5 years we were producing some fish, 3/4 of a pound, which isn't great, or up to a pound maybe. And that kind of ran its course, and they became overpopulated in here because there wasn't enough predators. The catfish weren't doing well enough. So once we realized that, I talked to a couple different biologies and a few different people in different fisheries and things like that. And I said, hey, do you think we can get smallmouth to work in here? And they, you know, where we're at near St. Louis, we're pretty far south in southern Illinois, and they just don't exist around here real well. However, there was no other predator fish in here. There was no largemouth bass, no crappie. So everybody that I talked to, they felt like they would work here because it would be the top predator. So 3 years ago this November, I purchased 300 of them from a group they were in northern Illinois, I believe, and they brought them down, and they're fingerlings, so they were all 3 to 4 inches, and they did really well. And the first year they were, you know, getting up to 12, 13, 14 inches, and the next year was even better. We were seeing some as, you know, as good as 2.5 pounds. And then this year we're actually seeing fish over 3 pounds. And basically they've been in here less than 3 years, and we've got 3-pound smallmouth. So I had a buddy come shock the thing for me this year. We just wanted to see, you know, if and how well they were reproducing, and we weren't really excited with the reproduction, or we weren't getting enough small ones. So I decided to go ahead and I ordered another 200 of them for this fall. So they'll be coming in around November. But they're very, very exciting. So it's neat. I get down here, I come probably once, maybe twice a week after work, grab a drink, grab a rod, and just kind of walk around the pond, and topwater is a blast. These fish, they fight so hard, they jump so high. I mean, and it's right outside my back door. So it's a really neat opportunity to have, you know, set up with the house right there, the shed right there. Yeah, during the week, I just generally, you know, walk from the bank, but I will launch the boat occasionally and, you know, work with the electronics, or if I have a motor thing that I want to run through. So that's a good opportunity to have that boat ramp there as well. And I got a bunch of buddies they'll bring their kids by occasionally, and where we're at here in Illinois, most of them have never caught a smallmouth in their life. So, you know, it's a great opportunity for them to get here, and they'll, you know, wrestle a 2 or 2.5, 3-pounder in, and, you know, it's something really, really unique for them because they've never experienced it before. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to see how this thing pans out over the next couple of years, but it's certainly a neat thing to have here right in the backyard. And you know, probably one of the cooler parts of my man cave, or bass cave, I guess, is you know, having this lake right here with the smallmouth in it, and being able to just walk down and fish whenever I have time. Well, I'm glad you guys had the opportunity to hang out with me this afternoon for a little while, see my bass cave, see my bass pond, and next time you have the opportunity to come by, hopefully by then I've got the Illinois state record. That's kind of the goal we're working towards here in the next handful of years, is to produce a 7.5 to 8-pound smallmouth and grow that state record right here in this pond. So thanks for coming along, and we'll see you next time.